What's going on, gang? It's JToH Boy McCloy back with some more Rizzy content for you all. So, could you imagine if the monthly towers that we see in JToH and that we know and, well, maybe some of you love, replaced into the game as Canon towers that gave you points? Well, for the Great Inferno, that's what we're going to take a look at today, so make sure you guys get strapped in, this one's going to be decent. For starters, due to the sheer amount of new towers, I think it's safe to say that Purgatorio, you know, the Ring Zero thing that the devs keep talking about, yeah, that probably wouldn't exist. You might argue that it's needed for teaching the shit that people need to know how to play the game, but I don't really think that it's still needed at all. There's so much easy towers and new content in the game that it would really be pointless, so let's just say that Purgatorio gets removed at this point. Ring 1's basically where you'll see why I'm removing Purgatorio. 2 all-new mediums and 1 all-new easy have now been added to the ring, and it's safe to say that the new population would only increase here. For starters, 3 new towers means maybe a little shake-up of what's placed where. I'd say beginner towers would be all the easies, with little frustration replacing Tower of Madness. Then I'd say intermediate would be all the mediums and both the hards, with some towers being placed opposite others so as to be able to fit in there. For example, for advanced, I reckon that it would be keyboard cheating with Tower of Stress and Tower of Screen Punching, and finally for psychologically unsafe, it'll be Tower of Rage, Impossible Expectations, and True Skill. I think so as to expand the difficulty range a bit, I reckon they'd move Tower of Rage up to Intense, plus it's my JToH, so I can do what I want. Whatever I want with it. Well, Forgotten Ridge would not be that much different at all. The only real addition being Steeple of Questions. This means that there's really not that much to cover here, besides one tiny change. I think Steeple of Question would probably take Steeple of Pursuit's place, and Steeple of Pursuit, on the other hand, would be moved to intermediate towers, probably opposite the hard steeples or something. Not that much would change about the Forgotten Ridge, although maybe they would recommend that beating at least 1 tower before entering it, due to the towers being kinda harder than the ones found in Ring 1. This ring has a total of 3 new towers being added to it. I think Tower of Mild Irritation would replace Overcoming Hatred in the beginner section, and Tower of Numb Hands would probably just replace Cold Hands as a whole. I think this is just because they're both basically the same tower, and I think it would be replaced likely due to being more beginner friendly. Tower of Vibing would get its own spot in the psychologically unsafe towers as it should, and I think we'd have a situation similar to difficulty chart where you can play classic Cold Hands, but it won't give you any points. This towers would actually make Ring 2 even more interesting and beginner friendly. Garden of Ijol. The sub-realms newcomers include 2 hards and 1 difficult. I think the beginner towers would add Steeple of Overgrowth and Steeple of Nightfall to their list, and the intermediates would simply be all the hards, Lost Inquisitors, whatever that means, Feudal Foliage, Garden Hose, and what was the other one called? Whatever that one was called would be in intermediate. Perhaps with a small Garden Hose leading into the area for effect. Nefarious Essence would be placed on psychologically unsafe, with Topa being on a suspended platform above the 3 steeples. Also, something I haven't mentioned is that difficulty requirements will actually stay the same, and they probably would make even more sense now as there are many more towers a beginner can do. Oh yeah, and I forgot I accidentally said that Steeple of Nefarious Essence was difficult. It's challenging. My bad, bro. Okay, let's just start by saying the gingerbread difficulty is really stupid, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that Topag was challenging. It makes it much easier, to be honest. There isn't much new here, but the new stuff would make this ring feel complete. For starters, we've got Coolio sliding that would slide right between Funny Thoughts and Inverted Colours, which I would actually move to intermediate just because it kind of works. The advanced towers stay the same as usual, and Topag would end up sliding in on the vacant side of the psychologically unsafe platform, making Ring 3's difficulty chart kind of feel complete, to be honest. Ring 4 has 3 new additions, which to be honest it doesn't really need, but here we are. TOVSD would slide into beginner towers, and I'm actually not going to move any of those. Tower of Many Realms would fit just into the intermediates, perhaps some holes would be dug in the lobby to accommodate the new ones. And is Steeple Crossing required? Well, it would be with the other two realms, just opposite them. These monthlies would really boost the variety of Ring 4 and would play into its extensive difficulty range gimmick. Also, the ring would finally have a decent rem, like Jesus Christ, the current ones are really not that great. Silent Abyss would have less beginner-friendly issues due to the new towers being very difficult indeed. TOGD and SOTDW would probably both go into psychologically unsafe, with perhaps a pool of water for SOTDW because, well, it's supposed to be a huge well, isn't it? And a dark light for TOGD. But these two definitely do fit the area, so it wouldn't be that weird to see them canon, to be honest. Ring 5 has 4 newbies, which are firstly Topo, which would actually fit in nicely and would perhaps be on a small rock away from Tower of Nice Views. Next is Tower of Spaceship Finding, which would likely face the same fate, just on a rock away from Bridge of Success. I do think now is the sort of time to start indicating if towers are unsight readable. I do think with all the newcomers that this should be kind of stated beforehand, to be honest. Basement Antics would be on a lower rock with the other intermediates, and Tower of Freezing Cold Dreams would be on an icy block near the psychologically unsafe. Lost River has 3 newcomers. First off, I think TOMS would probably be in TODL's place, and that tower would get moved up to Advanced. Toadim, I hope, would replace Witchcraft and Wizardry, but I think it would just have to go alongside it, unfortunately. Finally, TOQA is the first SC we have to cover. It definitely keeps Lost River's replayability up, and I think the tower would be hidden behind one of the buildings in Tower Island. I just realised the idea of having 2 Insanes with no difficulty above is something that's never actually been done yet. Ring 6, well, let's just say it becomes a massive hub for anyone of sort of my skill level, which is Intense to Remorseless. A little bit embarrassing, but there are 2 new Intenses and 1 new Remorseless. Toset would be especially good to grind if you were in Ring 6. I think Disjointed Worlds and Stained Brutal Calamity would also manage to fit in well into the realm. I don't actually think that the Portal Room would actually change that much either. It would look pretty much the same, just maybe a little bit bigger to accommodate the new monthly towers, but yeah, Ring 6 is a pretty decent place now, kind of. Oh, turns out there's no monthly towers for this sub-realm yet. Oh well, guess we're gonna move on then. Ring 7, well, Subtle Graciousness is actually a great balance of difficulty for Ring 7, and it would look great next to Rush Building. The 2 Intenses also really help with the difficulty balance, and I think Toot and truly extensive pillars make better Intenses than Tongue does, to be fair. However, I think Totep kind of belongs in psychologically unsafe towers rather than advanced. But these Intenses definitely make Ring 7 better, and even Subtle Graciousness just kind of balances it out a bit. The difficulty is definitely much more varied now. So, Ring 8, I really hope the monthlies here can spice up this ring, and it turns out they actually can. Toash and Annoying Paths make great classic additions to the ring, really helping with its kind of variety a little bit and how immersive it is, while TOKR and TOPW really help Ring 8's creativity to shine. I think the challenging should go in an intermediate, although we almost have a Paradise Atoll situation on our hands there, and the Rems should join the others with their own little sections on that platform. And finally, Ring 9. Well, to finish off the Inferno, we definitely have some pretty decent towers. Perhaps we could place Togo and TOSTP in a tiny little room in the library that's called Advanced Towers, and Funhouse Frenzy and Demonic Inspiration can lean against a couple of the bookshelves near the other Remorselesses. This makes Ring 9 just a little bit more fair for those who have only just unlocked it, which kind of helps for my skill level as well, because obviously mine isn't as great. But yeah, that's basically all there is to say about the Great Inferno's monthlies. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and well, if you want to see more, you really should subscribe. You just kind of need to. If you want this to happen IRL, if you want monthly towers to actually get added to the game as Canon towers, you should subscribe. I think that might help it happen just a tiny bit. Maybe it will. But anyway, I've got to stop yapping. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one. Goodbye. Peace out. Laters.